Gotham Season 1 finale, All Happy Families Are Alike. Now, of course, it sucked that I had to wait to see this episode because, unfortunately, only like half the episode recorded on the DVR, so I had to wait to see this episode. I was really looking forward to seeing it. And I unfortunately did like a little Googling ahead of time. And a lot of other reviews that I saw, I only saw like two little posts like on the listings or search results for Google. But a lot of other people, just based on the titles for their reviews and stuff, or the results that came up, it seemed like a lot of people didn't like this finale. And I was going into it expecting it to be average because I saw those two things, and it's like, it's a season finale. And I've seen an average season finale. Like, if anyone's watched the show The Strain, I like that show a lot, but the season finale for that show is honestly very mediocre. It's like, they had one really cool thing happen. There was like two cool things that happened, but ultimately it didn't have like a sense of cliffhanger like most other shows, because for that show they kind of can't unless someone was kidnapped or something like that, and that's not what happened. It was like, oh, we didn't have the fight that happened, and it ended like we're going on to another day, and that's not what happened in this at all. So I was really surprised that it seemed like, people didn't enjoy this finale, because I thought it was great. I thought it had some really awesome twists in there. It was fairly violent. This is probably the most violent episode we've had. Gotham isn't really that violent in general. We've had like a couple of moments here and there where it's like, oh, someone dies and blood actually splattered on somebody. That's like a huge deal for this show, because they just don't do that. So in this, when it's like Jim's having like a crazy Max Payne gunfight in the hospital, which was really awesome. There's one scene where he like grabs a guy. It was like before he went into like the room when he started dual wielding and stuff. He grabbed one of the guys and he like shot him straight in the head. And that's like the second person he shot in the head in 2 episodes. So he gets killed. Jim like shoots up a bunch of other people. Then of course we have the scene in like the warehouse and stuff, and that goes crazy. Mooney shoots Maroney straight in the head, and that was really cool. It was one of the big things. I was wondering, like, is Mooney's gonna come back, Maroney's gonna die, she's gonna take over his place, but instead they both kind of get pushed out of the show. I don't know if she's really dead. Like, I assume she's still gonna come back later in the show. There is some stuff where Jada Pinkett said that she was leaving the show, so they might actually make that permanent. I kind of doubt it, though, even with the way they did it. I think their plan was, if there's any chance to get her back for maybe a couple episodes here and there, they'll probably work it in that way, even if she leaves the show. And that's probably what she meant, that she was leaving the show as a regular cast member. And so maybe she'll be like a special guest star in season 2, where it'll be like a couple episodes, and maybe she'll still survive even after that. But she shoots a dude in the head. Of course, Penguin coming in with like an M18, and he's just like shooting up the whole place. There's the one guy is like, hold on, and he just totally gunned that guy down. So there are a couple little scenes in here. Like, it's still very minimal for any show today. Like, if you watch Supernatural like I do, every episode of that starts off someone like the neck gets slit and it's just like and there's blood all over the place. So it's like nothing. But they had their moments in this one, and it was definitely serious, even without the blood and all that. There were some dramatic moments in this episode that were very surprising. Having all the characters together in the warehouse, and it's like, we get this scene where, they get in, it's like Gordon, Jim, Penguin, Butch, and Falcone. They all go in, it's like, alright, we're safe here, this is the place, we're safe, anyone who knows about this is dead. And I believe that's the warehouse they had where they had like their old meetings and stuff like that. So it's like, anyone who knows about this place is dead, because all the leaders were being killed off. And then of course in walks Fish, because she knew at some point things are going to get crazy, and I'm assuming she found out within those 2 weeks, which really surprised me, but I'll kind of get to that. But she comes right in, and it's like, you guys, basically you're captured, and then she calls in Maroney, and all that happens. I knew, like, he was testing her way too much, saying, like, I'm a boss, you're an underboss, and we're cool. And it seemed like it was going to end right there, and then, of course, it's like, he calls her babes, and then that's an issue. And then he's like, okay, I'm partner number one and you're number two. And he just kept making it an issue, and he's trying to play around like, yeah, I'm in charge and I got everything I want. And I'm sure he would have left her alive even if everything happened the way that it did, and he was actually able to kill off Penguin and Baroni. I'm sure he would have actually let her live, but he would have kept it that way. He would have been like, I'm in charge, you're number two. We're partners. I'm partner one, you're number two. And, he was playing around too much, and boom, he's done. So he's wiped off the show. He is one of the characters who's technically alive. I didn't know this 100%. I knew the family was still important in the Batman universe, but that's because it's still him. Like, he was, in the normal canon universe, he is actually alive, and he does run into Batman. So that was a big change that they did for his character. It wasn't just like, oh, we'll slightly change a name or something. They killed off this character that's in the normal canon is still alive when Bruce becomes Batman, and they run into each other. So that's kind of cool that they did something like that. Even if that character wasn't meant to meet Batman, it would be less of a surprise for people who knew that. But even for someone like me, I still enjoyed it. It was like a little twist, like, okay, maybe she won't shoot this guy, because obviously he's got his people with machine guns and stuff. She's got her people, but, when you're in the front lines, you can get shot. So it was a nice little twist. She kills him off. Everything goes nuts. The guys escape. Penguin goes after her when he comes back. And I didn't know what was going to happen with them, honestly. It was like they have their fight and stuff. I'm like, alright, well, Penguin obviously isn't going to die. But we still don't know what's going to happen to Fish. And that was one of the things that really surprised me about this. It was like one of the two things I expected to happen. And one was between Fish and Bullock, and I was hoping that they would have a moment where they actually get to reconnect, but because everything was so intense, it didn't really have that one-on-one moment. It was just like, she's going down the line, it's like, okay, we're cool, and that's it. And I do wish we got to see a moment where, she comes back, and he knew she was alive, but he probably didn't expect her to come back for a long time. So I would have loved to have seen them get a one-on-one, which we may or may not get, way down the line in season 2. But the other thing was, I figured she'd survive and just escape Penguin. Like, they'd have a fight, and that was it. And then they're in, like, a dead heat. They're in a draw. And here comes Butch, who's under mind control. And honestly, I thought he was going to shoot himself because he wasn't going to be able to control it, or he didn't think he could possibly fight it. And I'm like, I don't know, I think he might end up killing himself right now. So I love that moment. It was probably the most intense moment in the episode for me, because I'm like, I know he's not going to shoot Penguin, but, at least I thought he wouldn't. And so it's like, I know he's not going to kill Penguin, at least. I didn't think he would actually shoot Mooney either. And I was like, I'm pretty sure he's going to shoot himself because he can't control it. But it was a cool balance how they did that, where... and I love the fact that he actually shot Penguin first. He shot Penguin first, and then he shot Mooney. But he shot them both, and it was like, that was the only way he could do it, and he didn't kill either of them. It was like, I'll shoot you both, like, in the stomach. It seemed like that's where he shot them. And so it's like, I'll shoot you both, like, in the side. So it's, right in the middle. It's half and half for both of them. It's like, I'm kind of following the rules that I would normally follow with Fish, because she's the person I followed under. And I'm also kind of obeying the mind control, even though I'm struggling with it. I'm still obeying it at least a little bit. So I thought it was cool how they did that. And of course, Mooney gets tossed off the building. Like I said, I'm sure she's still gonna survive that. She fell off a building into water. Like, if it was the street, I'd be like, she's not coming back. But she fell in the water. They had like the Wizard of Oz scream going on, where it's like, ah, and it just kept getting lower and lower, which I don't know why I found that so funny, but I did. So I'm sure she'll come back somewhere in season 2. I'd love to see if there are any changes to Butch because of what he actually did, because of course he freaked out when he shot her. So I'd love to see if that kind of allows him in season 2 to break from his mind control, where it kind of weighs on him throughout the episodes, and eventually he's able to like break out of it and fight back against Penguin, and we get to see how that goes. So I can't wait to see what they do with Penguin and him being like, he's basically the ruler of Gotham. Maroni's dead. Fish is gone in the water. Or Falcone. Yeah, Maroni's dead. Fish is in the water. Sleeping with the fishes. And then we get, Falcone, and he's just quitting. He's done. He's like, I'm out of here. I'm done with this crap. I saw Maroni get shot in the head. Fish is not dead. She's coming back to life, trying to chop my head off and crap. Penguin's a freaking maniac. I need to go to like Florida or something and get the heck out of here. So he's gone, and he gives a parting gift to Jim, which I thought was actually a cool scene. And I thought that was just, I actually really loved that scene where he takes the knife out and stuff, and it's like, I got this from your father, and he tells him the story and stuff. He's like, your father was the most honest man I ever knew, and he still carried a knife. And I thought that was just a cool way to have that. Like, I know you're a good guy, you're a great cop, and you do the right thing. Like, he could have easily left. He could have easily left Penguin and Butch in the hospital in the beginning of the episode, and he even said it himself. Like, he would have totally left Falcone there if he wasn't useful to him. But he's still a good cop, and it's like, I know you're a good guy, but sometimes you just gotta protect yourself against any and all obstacles, because even good people, face crappy things from other seemingly good people, which Jim, of course, went up against the current commissioner again. He's just like, in the hospital, you need to get out of here. And I love what he did when Jim was like, is this so you can let these guys kill Falcone? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I have no recollection of this. Nope, I don't know what you mean. So I love that. Just, he's gonna still have to deal with him in season 2. We're gonna get to see that, of course. And then there's just like, there is a lot that happens. So this is just gonna be a long review, if you can tell already. But even outside of that stuff, we had a lot of extra things going on. And like I said, one of the things I really wanted to touch on was the 2-week stuff that happened from the very opening of this episode, which was Fish, which I love the imagery they did. It was like Fish coming in like the Grim Reaper off the River Styx or something, with like this old style boat that has like the tip of it goes like straight up like that almost, or has like a really steep curve, which you just don't ever see. And of course she has like basically a group of lanterns behind her, and it's like she's coming like the Grim Reaper. And so she runs into Cat, and the way that they did that I thought was really weird, because she's like, oh, it'll be a new morning, it'll be morning soon, a whole new day. And it was like 2 weeks later, and it's like all this stuff. And I figured they would do that, like, oh, we're gonna skip a couple days, or something like that. That seemed simple enough. But it was like 2 whole weeks, and it was like, I feel like that was just too long. It seemed like such a huge leap in time that it was really weird. And there was some other stuff that was weird, like the stuff that happened with Barbara. I feel like that having to take 2 weeks before she was officially recovered from like a little cut in the neck, I feel like that just took too long, because nothing happened to her. She got the cut on the neck, sure, but it's like, well, no arteries were cut. Like, anyone could have seen that, because she would be dead, because it was her neck. So it was like, the cut on the neck, maybe some random nicks here and there. It was like 2 weeks seems like way too long for that to just come up. Like, you're finally finished with a physical evaluation, and I suggest, some sort of mental help and stuff like that. I thought that was a big leap in time. The stuff with Mooney I thought was a huge leap, because I didn't think it would take her 2 weeks to do that. Maybe it was 2 weeks just on her hair. But I just thought it was a weird leap in time that she came back, and then she was just like doing something for 2 whole weeks, and she wasn't spotted or anything like that. And she could have easily sent out everyone else, and no one would know who they are. But it just seemed like a huge leap to me. It was so weird that she came back, and then it's like 14 days later, that's when everything starts to take place. It was like they already established it at the end of the last episode. They're shooting people up, and it took 14 days for Falcone to finally be in danger from 2 people on a motorcycle with an RPG. And it just seemed weird that they did that sort of stretch. I feel like that honestly could have been the very next day. Like, maybe not the hair thing, because that honestly would have taken forever. But, like 2 days later, 2-3 days, I would have accepted. But it just seemed so weird that it was like 2 weeks. She got on the island. 2 weeks later, that's when everything happened. It just jumped a huge chunk of time. But it was still awesome to watch. The stuff with Mooney and Selena kind of teaming up, and Selena getting the crazy hairstyle stuff. That was okay to me. I didn't think it was like too great or too bad. It was just like, man, I did enjoy her talking to Jim and like not helping him. I thought that was kind of funny when he was smiling at her. He's like yeah, help me out. And then she doesn't want to ruin this great gig, and he's just like, wow, this little bitch. Like it's like she could have helped me, and we'd be fine. And he was just kind of mad. It was really funny, but all of the gang stuff, of course, finally culminated in Penguin, at least for a time, being on top. I'm sure there's going to be some more people. Fish, I'm sure, will come back. And it's going to kind of go up and down for his character until it gets to, Batman levels. But then we have the stuff with Barbara, and I don't know what the heck is going on with her. Like, I knew, it was weird from the beginning, because she's like, I want you to help me with the trauma and stuff like that. And it's like, Jim's right there. And I knew how they were doing it because it was like she knew, because they even did the flashback where she saw them kissing, and Jim obviously knew that he was with the doctor and she knew that she was with him, and it's like they introduce each other as like doctor and she's like detective because they don't want to make it too awkward, and neither of them know that Barbara already knows, and then she makes it super weird and it's like, what, she doesn't know, so it's not that big of a deal. And then she's asking all these weird questions and stuff, and it's like, yeah, does he ever hit you? And I don't know what's happening with her character. I was glad that they touched on it, because that was what I was hoping they would do after the last episode, with her obviously having, like, just gone crazy. But she's officially stabbed. She's like, at one point when she was talking about she killed her parents, I honestly thought she thinks she is Jason. That's seriously what I thought. Like she somehow lost it, and she actually believes that she is the killer, even though she said early on that she feels like she's in the dream and he's alive. So she established that she's not him. I still thought that's what happened at the end, because I'm like, she's going crazy. I still don't understand 100% what happened with her character. Like, it was still awesome to watch because she was nuts, and it was just crazy. Like, and then of course it boils down to it. She killed her parents. She remembers that she did that. She stabbed them several times and then slit their throats. And she talks about how they never knew who she really was. And maybe he was right. Like, maybe the ogre was actually right, and he could see something that even us as viewers didn't see. Like, we knew she was crazy, obviously, and just all over the freaking place as a character. But now it's like she's taking like a totally different crazy path, and it was fun to watch. I honestly, I love that scene. It was just crazy and weird for her character, and it does kind of seem a little odd that like it doesn't make sense, but I can't deny the fact that I still enjoyed it a lot because it was so insane. It was like she's this character who obviously had a bunch of issues. She was like just the character no one really liked, and now it's like she's a straight up psychopath. She killed her parents. She seemingly knew, and maybe she was just in a state of transition in the last episode. So there was, because my suspicion was that there was something in the water. But I don't know. Like, she's freaking nuts. She was knocked out. I love the fight and how it ended. It's just like she's just bashing her head on the ground to knock her out. But it was just a crazy fight. I was really sure that Barbara was gonna get stabbed by a giant piece of the mirror when she like burst through the door. But she's still alive. We're gonna see how that plays out in the next season. But that was crazy. I definitely loved it. I, without a doubt, love the stuff they did with the Riddler and him getting busted with his clue. And I thought that was great. I like the way they did that. It was something new that they haven't done, where it's like a character talking to themselves, and they do like multiple images playing on top of each other, so it's almost like another part of him talking to himself, like actually looking at him. So I love that. I thought it was cool, and he's laughing and then getting serious and then going back to like the nice him and then the crazy him, and it's like, what can she prove? But I still want to be with her. I still care about her. She, this and that. So I really love the way they did that, and it just, hopefully all next season he's just gonna get worse and worse. Maybe he'll even end up killing her off. Like, she's gonna find something, or she's gonna make enough noise where it's like, you're already that weird guy in the office. Maybe this happens or that happens. So I don't know what they're gonna do with the Riddler, but I think by the end of season 2 he's gonna be something more. I think he might leave the GCPD by the end of season 2, or maybe he will just kill her off, and then it'll carry on into season 3, and it'll have like one death per season, and it just gets him closer and closer. But I really did enjoy this season. The ending was pretty cool with like this possible Batcave being made by Thomas Wayne instead of Bruce making it as Batman. I thought that was kind of cool, and it was just the whole episode. That was one of the things I was surprised by. It was actually like the ending cliffhanger, and the Bruce Alfred storyline wasn't really that big for the season finale, and I thought it would be much bigger. And I'm okay with that because it was just them trying to figure out what was his father hiding, what was Thomas Wayne always hiding and doing, like in his study, like why was the door always locked and stuff. So I liked it. I liked the music. One of the comments that I read mentioned that the music they use is very similar to the Joker music they use in the Batman animated series, which is something I noticed as soon as I heard it. I'm like, that sounds like the Joker's music to me. And I don't think it's the exact song, but it does sound incredibly similar if you look up like the Joker's theme from the old '90s cartoon. It sounded just like that to me too. So I wasn't the only one who recognized that sound as soon as it came on. But I like that ending. I'm curious as to what they're gonna find there, how it's gonna change Bruce and Alfred's storyline for kind of helping take over Wayne Corp and getting rid of these bad people, and kind of transitioning things into the Wayne Industries that we know from Batman, where it's actually Bruce and Lucius and some other good people sprinkled throughout. So I'm excited for what they're going to be doing in season 2. Like I said, I personally enjoyed the season finale, of course. I want to know what you guys thought about this one, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And of course, what was your favorite moment from this season? Least favorite moments. What are things that you definitely want to see advance or completely change maybe? Like there might be characters that you're glad finally died. Some people may not have liked Mooney at all. Like, I don't know. Some people may be glad all the gang stuff is over and it's just Penguin now. I just want to know what you guys think, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.